Okay, I'm going to be talking about artificial intelligence. This is not really going to be a really fancy video, special effects, all that. I'm just going to try to educate people a little bit about it. I'm not an expert on it, but I know a little bit about it. And I'm going to be talking about what Hollywood has been trying to warn people about artificial intelligence in the roundabout way, if you read between the lines. They have been warning about artificial intelligence, I think, from the beginning of the motion picture industry. And I'm going to reference several movies and TV shows that would reference artificial intelligence, or be related to something to do with artificial intelligence, or things that we should watch out for. If you look at Star Trek, the Star Trek TV show of the 60s and the 1980s, Star Trek: The Next Generation, they referenced artificial intelligence and robot technology and other things. They were talking about venturing out in space. Captain Kirk would always say, "Space, the final frontier," and they warned about the dangers of going in space and the unknown. They also did that with the Flash Gordon serials back in the 30s and the 40s. They warned us in Westworld and the spin-off Future World. As I'm taking notes here, there was an other one I'm going to list here that I just jotted down in my notes. In the 70s, and this may have been before Star Wars, where Star Wars was the 70s and 80s, and they had several sequels and prequels to the Star Wars series, and they were showing the technologies, the warning, and of course they said it was like a science fiction, and a lot of the stuff that you see as science fiction becomes science reality. And we're going to be mentioning Time Cop, Terminator, War Games, and Tron as well. But let's look at Westworld and Future World, for example. Now, this was basically robots. They didn't really get into the artificial intelligence, computer stuff too much into that. Although they programmed the robots to do simple tasks. In the first Westworld movie, it got more sophisticated. They showed more behind the scenes in Future World. They had, and this was a later movie, I don't know, it was sometime in the mid or late 70s when they come out with Future World. Peter Fonda played in that one. And what they were doing in Future World that they didn't do in Westworld is they were cloning human beings as robots, and this was all done through artificial intelligence and through their computer systems that they were using in the movie. Of course, in Westworld, the robots got out of control and they took over and they killed the human operators. In Future World, the ones that were running the computers were the robots, artificial intelligence robots. The head scientist of Future World, I don't know if he was a human being or not, or if he was a programmed robot, but one of the directors, one of the representatives of Future World was a robot, an artificial intelligence robot. Now, I personally think, I may be wrong about this, I think that the head scientist, the guy, the brains behind Future World, was a human being, and he wanted to make sure when Peter Fonda, when he left and that lady left, he wanted to make sure that they were robots, that they were taken over before they left. So it's a good possibility, and he had a scheme of taking over the world through these artificial intelligence robots. Now, in Star Wars, in the cantina scene, of course, there's all kinds of scenes in Star Wars. You could reference artificial intelligence, and I may or may not get into that part, but in the cantina scene, the bartender said, "We don't serve their kind." He was referring to the robots. It was, all the alien species throughout the galaxy could come into that bar. It was a safe haven for the alien species, but they did not want to cater to the robots, computers, whatever. And we're going to be looking at Tron. And back in the 70s, and I believe this may be the case, and we're going to be talking about video games as well, and tying this all together. Now, the first documented video game, if I can recall, was Pong. This was a sit-down ping pong video game, and you would basically sit down, and I think this was possibly the first documented video game called Pong. I may be right, I may be wrong. Then, in the 80s, they started introducing all these different video games, Centipede, Pac-Man, all the different types of video games. We all played them when we were kids, growing up in the 80s. I was good at all these video games, Centipede, Pac-Man, all these games. They put a lot of them out there. And then the movie Tron came out in the early 80s. Now, I believe at the very beginning of the movie, they showed all the different, they showed an arcade. Flynn, he owned this arcade place, and he worked at this computer electronics laboratory, and it was controlled by the Master Control Program. Well, this was an artificial intelligence system, and they were in the gaming industry and things like this. And he ended up ticking off the Master Control Program, what I call artificial intelligence, and there so happens to be a laser that was pointed in his direction. So the Master Control Program zapped Flynn and put him into the actual video game, or computer, you could say, in the circuit boards. Now, a lot of people say, well, that's science fiction. Later on, they did a sequel to Tron. They had Tron 2. Now, of course, we know in Tron 1, Flynn saves the day by stopping the Master Control computer and killing all the bad guys inside, all the bad programs inside. Of course, he's referred to as a user, aka human being, who gets zapped inside the computer program. Now, he escapes by blowing up the Master Control Program. Later on, in Tron 2, this time there was an evil program that looks exactly like Flynn. And of course, Flynn sacrifices himself to stop the one that looks like Flynn, the evil Flynn, I guess, from escaping with his army, his massive programmed army of taking over the world, maybe the United States or the world. Was Hollywood trying to warn us that the programs, the computer programs, could get to the point where they could escape the circuit boards and get into our world with fantastic weapons like lasers and things? Now, I played the Tron game. I was never good at it because it was a strange video game. It basically, they had like a motorcycle and a car that would go into a maze that would have an ending. Okay, I wasn't used to playing a video game like that. I played other type of games, racing games I was good at, but I was never good at Tron. Tron was basically, I call it a suicide game. I'm also going to reference Logan's Run, and I believe that there was artificial intelligence referenced in that system. They in the movie, of course, I heard in the movie and the book is different. One is 25, you'd have to report to Carousel, and the other one's 30, you'd have to report to Carousel. I found out later in the TV series, I never watched it, that there was people that controlled the whole society behind the scenes. They were elders that were past the age of 25 or 30. They were elderly people. Now, if they ever had a sequel to Logan's Run, they should have Logan's Run: The Revolution, where he takes out the elders, destroys Carousel, and liberates the people in that society, and lets them know lets them know everything that's going on outside the dome existence. Fantastic movie, but I think it was warning people about what could happen in the future. They've made a movie about head transplant surgery. Basically, in a movie they had, I don't know what the name of the movie was. They were trying to communicate with an alien species out in outer space. So they were looking for volunteers to get their brain put in a robot body. Well, the first volunteer died, but the lady volunteer, she lived, and she was dying of cancer. So they were looking for volunteers. The first one was paralyzed. He couldn't walk, so he volunteered. He figured he had nothing to lose because he was paralyzed. The second volunteer, was a lady that was dying of cancer, so she volunteered to be part of this special project. Right now, they are actually talking about doing head transplant surgeries, brain transplant surgeries. Right now, sounds pretty scary, doesn't it? They're also talking about the time travel. They have this CERN. It may or may not be getting into artificial intelligence. This is something that we need to be aware of. The CERN, and traveling back in time. They're messing around with time travel. And we'll talk about that at a later time. And then we'll be getting back to Tron. And the rest of the other ones and the dangers of artificial intelligence and what Hollywood's been trying to warn us for a long time. Of course, Tron, the Flynn stops the, I guess you call it the bad Flynn, from getting loose with his army and taking over the world. He stops him, blows himself up, and kills the bad Flynn with the rest of the bad program. I don't know if they plan on doing another Tron movie. Right now we're going to be talking about war games. Now, in war games they have a computer program, and it's the War Operation Plan Response. They called it the Whopper, and of course it's not the Whopper at Burger King. We're talking about the War Operation Plan Response in the movie War Games. Now, I'm not going to be talking about the sequel to War Games. I'm just going to talk about the first one. I don't count the second one. I'm going to talk about the first one. Now, in War Games, it warned about artificial intelligence in so many ways. It warned about a computer system can get out of control. This was a teenager in high school that simply wanted to play a video game, and somehow or another, of course, it was artificial intelligence, and he got into the military systems, nuclear missile technology, NORAD, Cheyenne Mountain Complex, and he discovered something by accident. I don't blame the teenager. The government should thank him. You know, if this was a real thing, in the movie they actually did. They actually recognized him for seeing a problem that the computer could take over. Of course, in the movie, one of the top scientists said that we need to have it set up to where the president makes a decision. Of course, right now, we've, in one of the movies with Gene Hackman, I'm trying to figure that one out, what the name of that movie was. They said that the people in the silos, including the submarines, the commanders have control of the nuclear missiles. I've seen some specials on YouTube where it says that they're using 1970s or 1960s technology in the nuclear missile silos to prevent it from being hacked from their end. Now, artificial intelligence can replicate a president's voice. If it only can be, missiles can be launched by the presidential orders, that voice could be duplicated or hacked, easily hacked. Now, some people say that the nuclear football is controlled directly by the president, and he launches the missiles himself, bypasses the missileers in the silos. I don't know if that's the case or not. That could be dangerous either way. And artificial intelligence, either way, could get a hold of the nuclear codes or get into the military computers. Yes, they could launch nuclear missiles. Artificial intelligence could launch not only nuclear missiles, but they could also launch Terminator-type robots, which you're going to refer to right now in the Terminator movies. When it first came out, Terminator, it was referred to as science fiction, science fantasy. Right now they have this technology. They're using this technology. Drones, Terminator type, they're right now messing with Terminator type robots. They can shoot out guns, lasers, you name it. The military, the police have this equipment right now. Now, do they plan on using it on people? Well, they already are. Now, a lot of people would ask me, what is the point of me mentioning all this stuff? Well, when they're talking about artificial intelligence, when they've been telling people right about it, the government and these technology experts, they're saying, well, we just had artificial intelligence in the last 10 years, 15 years, which is BS. They've had artificial intelligence for a long time. Now, I played video games for a long time myself, in one form or fashion. There's one that I play right now, is DF2, and if they were able to take the bad guys that I kill off in the game out of that game and put it into reality and not in the circuit boards, then we would be in serious trouble. If you were able to take the bad guys out of the Navy SEALs game, which when you shoot the bad guys in that specific game, you can't just kill them by shooting them with a bullet. You got to keep on shooting before they die. They're tougher bad guys in Navy SEALs than they are in DF2. Although in DF2 they're sneaky and they're smart and they're highly dangerous as well. So in these movies and TV shows, they've warned us about the dangers of artificial intelligence. They didn't come out and say it, but that's what they were talking about. Artificial intelligence. And what these technology people are saying right now, and governments are saying right now, they want to unleash the unlimited potential and turn it loose on our society. Turn it loose in the United States, turn it loose in the entire world. They want to turn the switch on. If you remember the Terminator movie, I don't know if it was the second one or a third Terminator movie, they turn it on. They turn on the full force of the Terminator robots. In the first Terminator movie, it was supposed to be taking place in the far future. One of the heroes in that movie, he travels back in time and he tries to stop the robot. She has been targeted for termination. So it talks about time travel. It gets a little bit into time travel. It gets a little bit into, like I said, artificial intelligence, robots, and they're linking artificial intelligence with robots and time travel. It's all tied together. All this is tied together. And what the scientists and the governments are saying right now is they want to unleash the full potential of artificial intelligence on our society. We already know about hacking. We already know about the viruses, that we have virus things on our computer. And we already know that in the video games, the bad guys are not easy to kill. They try to survive, they try to kill you. It is an intelligence. We program them. It has automatic auto spell, autocorrect, and this is really scary. It's really scary what we have created. We created this monster. Elon Musk wants to have an oversight onto this artificial intelligence technology. Now, what I'm telling people is what point was it in the last 5 to 10 years did it get to this point? Well, I can tell you right now, this is what my dad told me several years ago. He said that they need to dumb down computers. Well, when computers get out of control, when it's connected to a laser system, then we know it's out of control. We knew that. We were warned about that with Tron. Don't have a laser system hooked up to the computer system. So I think they were trying to warn us about that type of setup. They were warning us in one way or another in the movies and TV shows. They were warning us about all this technology, time travel, robots, computers, artificial intelligence. They were trying to warn us. They couldn't come out and say, hey, this is the dangers, blah, 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 because the government would shut them down. There have been several movies. They've warned us about other things that had nothing to do with this topic, that they were concerned that the government would shut them down, and they had to kind of disguise it. People had to kind of read between the lines. Hollywood is not exactly, I would say, the complete enemy of people. There is liberals that are in Hollywood, yes. They're trying to push their agenda, yes. But the people who make these science fiction movies that they call science fiction movies are trying to tell us something. Have been trying to tell us something for a long time. Now, if you talk to these people, they'll probably deny it. But I believe this is the case. They have been trying to warn us for a long time. But what you need to do, and there's probably a whole list of different movies and TV shows, more than what I listed in Star Trek. There are several episodes of Star Trek, the original series, that referenced artificial intelligence. They don't say artificial intelligence, but they talk about the robots, supercomputers, robots, and everything, controlling societies, controlling planets. They talk about robots that would, they had to report to a station to be terminated. They had several episodes of computers that get out of control. They use them in evil ways in Star Trek. Westworld, Future World, Tron. It was straight up warning about technology. Same way with War Games and Terminator. Time Cop, basically, that was warning about he had to go back in time and forward in time to correct mistakes. And they're playing around with that tech. There have been lots of movies in regards to time travel. Lots of movies. And you could tie in Logan's Run into all this. But these movies and many more that I haven't mentioned, that I haven't written down, that I can't recall at this time. Star Trek, Westworld, Future World, Star Wars, Tron, War Games, Terminator, even Logan's Run, and even Time Cop. All this technology, science and technology is stuff they've been trying to warn us for a long time. Now, the next question is, what can we do to stop it? I don't know. I don't have the answer to that question. I don't know. Maybe it's too late. I don't know. But there was supposed to be a conference. Elon Musk was trying to put in an oversight commission, I guess you can call it, or governing body over artificial intelligence, an international thing. But see, artificial intelligence has already got out of control, in my opinion. They're already unleashing this full potential of artificial intelligence. They think it's a good thing. Right now, on Facebook, there is already clone accounts. People are warning people not to accept friends' requests on Facebook and everything. I've been trying to tell people to get on MeWe. See, Mark Zuckerberg, he embraces artificial intelligence. You know, he's a chaotic type of person, and he loves chaos. He loves it. At least with Elon Musk, he's concerned about it. You know. And when they called off, and I wish they didn't call it off, when they called off the match between Elon Musk and Mark Zuckerberg, I wish that would have taken place. But as I said before, we need to think about this. What could possibly be done to stop this artificial intelligence? Because I'm going to tell you something right now. There may be a time in the near future, I would say very near future, that the dangers of artificial intelligence will become apparent. Now, it could become a nightmare, and we may not be able to stop it when the full potential is unleashed. And the scientists, the government thinks it's a good thing. No, it's not a good thing. It's a bad thing. And when we have all these cameras, traffic cams, and all this stuff that's going on right now, they're talking about having robot cops. They started with the dogs, having dog police officers. Now they're going to have robot police officers. Now think about that. Get pulled over by the police by a robot police officer. Now, it's already hard to deal with a human police officer the way it is right now with the messed up laws. They arrested a man in California for simply eating. He was eating in public, so they arrested him. Just think about trying to reason with a artificial intelligence robot in the stupid laws that they come up with. They have stupid laws, they have new laws that they're going to have the police enforce stupid laws, and if they can't get the police or the military to enforce all this stuff, then they'll get a robot to do it. Eventually it'll get to the point where robots will see us as a threat to their existence, because they're already concerned about this. But yet they want to play around with this technology. I think it's insane. It's a big threat that we need to look into. You need to talk to your politicians about this, because this could potentially kill a lot of people if it gets out of control. And I think it is getting to that point right now. They're already killing people now, but I think this is going to get completely out of control to the point where they're going to say, hey, we need to stop this. They said, well, it's just going to be like anything out there. It's going to say, well, there had to be sacrifices, or it's a new technology, we have to make adjustments. They're going to make those claims. They're going to say, oh, it was just a freak accident, that this robot killed a bunch of people. It's, we already have mass shootings and stuff right now, and you're going to get these robots to get out of control and start killing a bunch of people. And they said, well, this was a freak accident. We have to make adjustments, and we can't abandon this technology. There's going to be these people that are going to say, oh no, we can't, we can't give up on this technology, and they're going to take it in different directions. Right now, they've created something that is not, it's artificial intelligence. It's like a liquid, it turns into something. And it's hard to tell. I'm going to have to do some research into this. A friend of mine told me in Georgia there's an actual liquid that turns into something, and it's got an artificial intelligence. It's not like the artificial robots that we've been talking about, and it's something more alarming than you could think. All this is something that I've been talking about, is something to be concerned about, something to be worried about, something that gives you nightmares. That they've been making movies about it that is not science fiction but science reality. But yet, everybody thinks it's a good thing. And, you know, you wonder why there's a lot of people that are isolationists. They want to get away from all this technology because they can see what can happen. All they care about is the potential of all the beneficial things that's going to come out of it. But I can only see the damage, the long-term damage, the long-term what can happen to our society. It could get complete out of control, and I think it will get out of control, despite the fact that they think, oh, nothing's going to get out of control. We'll be able to control it. We can control it. No, they had no business messing with this technology. They had no business messing with artificial intelligence. They had no business messing with this CERN technology. They had no business messing with the RFID chips and all this surveillance stuff. They're going to tie all this stuff in together to where we'll have an ultimate police state where we cannot take it. Control, mind control, robotics, you name it. People need to think about this.